Hello and good evening, everybody, and I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to a very special episode because I am going to tackle my 5th episode of Song Tournament. Now, I thought very long and very hard about who I wanted to cover tonight, and well, the thing is this. A couple weeks ago, I saw Sammy Hagar in concert in Charlotte, North Carolina for the very first time in my life. And so then I got the very brilliant idea, how about I do my next episode of Song Tournament on Sammy Hagar? And that basically leads us to where we are right now. And as you can see right there on the screen, we have the bracket set up. And for those of you who are new to this channel or who may never have ever experienced a song tournament before, I need to explain the rules and what exactly I'm doing. Well, what I basically did was first I chose the artists. And then what I did through a simple Google search, I researched their top 16 songs. Yes, that is a very, very objective source of objectivity. And basically what you can see right here is I have all the songs from the Google search ranked from 1st to 16th. And so now they are arranged inside of a tournament bracket, and I'm going to go through every single round, declare a winner until we make it all the way to the end, in which one song from the catalog will be deemed the champion. Now, something that I did here is, well, Sammy Hagar has really encompassed a lot of musical acts. He's been in Montrose. He's had a solo career, he's been in Van Halen, and he's been a bunch of various other bands that are basically another incarnation of his solo act throughout the ages. So I considered all of the bands that he's been in. So as you can probably tell by this point, we have songs from his solo career. We have songs from Van Halen from when he was in the band. And we have songs from Montrose from when he was in the band. Now, let me just clear something up right now. I know that in Sammy's solo career, he has also covered songs that came from the David Lee Roth incarnation of Van Halen, such as Panama or Ain't Talking About Love. And yes, there are versions out there of Sammy singing those songs live in concert. Well, they were not included. So I'm not really making that stretch or anything. So you will not see any songs from the rock era that Sammy just happened to cover or sing during his tenure with Van Halen. So now we got that out of the way. Let's go ahead and get started with round number 1. We have I Can't Drive 55 from his solo career off the VOA album against Why Can't This Be Love, which was from Van Halen's 5150 album. And to be perfectly frank, both of these songs kind of made a sort of a jump, no pun intended, towards pop rock. I mean, they still definitely had an edge to them, but they were definitely starting to get a little bit more glammy than what Sammy had been producing before this. I Can't Drive, while it's a very, very silly song, it is also incredibly catchy. You know, one foot on the brake and one on the gas. Yeah! Dun 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 dun. Why Can't This Be Love? While a lot of people have said it signaled Van Halen abandoning their hard rock roots and becoming a synth pop band, I don't fully feel like that was truly a true statement. Yeah, the keyboards were kind of jacked up on this one, but at the same time, I do feel like it had kind of a rock feel to it. But to be honest, I'm just going to go with my gut here, and I'm going to just say this. I think I would rather listen to I Can't Drive 55 over Why Can't This Be Love. I think both are incredibly catchy songs. I actually do enjoy both of them, but I Can't Drive 55 is more aggressive. It's more of a hard rock song, even though it is kind of veering on pop rock. And Why Can't This Be Love is mostly a ballad. It's not a bad ballad by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I do not hate this nearly as some other people do, but I think I would rather listen to I Can't Drive 55. So, wow. Actually, for the very first time ever on this channel, the first seed actually advances to the second round. Who would have thought? So now we come to round number 2. We have the number 8 seed, Dreams, versus the number 9 seed, Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy. And yes, that is supposed to be Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy. The entire title wouldn't quite fit in that little box we have, but it's okay. Now, Dreams is also from the 5150 album by Van Halen, and Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy came out a few years earlier off the 3 Lock Box album by his solo career. And again, these are both definite steps towards pop rock, just like the first round and the first 2 songs. Dreams is a synth ballad, but to be perfectly honest, once again, it has a definite emotional kick to it, which you don't always find in songs such as this. I mean, there's definitely some honest-to-God emotion behind it, and I really, really respect that. Eddie, of course, is on fire. He's got a really great guitar solo towards the middle, and I actually do kind of like Dreams. I mean, again, it may not be my favorite style of music, but I do think it's catchy, and that really goes a long way. A lot of these songs, folks, even though they might be bad, they're catchy, and I like that. Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy, on the other hand, I have never liked. I thought it's boring, bland, and flat. I mean, when I was first getting into Sammy Hagar, of course, you know, I wanted to hear the hits, and one of the songs that I heard was really, really good was Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy, and I look it up, I hear it, I'm like, meh, whatever. Dreams, on the other hand, like I said, I really, really did enjoy the first time I heard it, and I still really enjoy it. Dreams is going to move on just because it's catchy, and catchy really goes a long way. Now we come to round number 3. We have Eagles Fly versus When It's Love. Now, Eagles Fly is, of course, from his solo career, and When It's Love is from Van Halen off the OU812 album, no pun intended. Actually, yes, scratch that. Pun very much intended. Now, I'm going to say this right now. I can't stand Eagles Fly. I mean, it's still a synthy pop ballad. It's not even a good synthy pop ballad. When It's Love is also a ballad, and it may not quite be as good as some of the other stuff Van Halen has produced, but like I said, like Dreams, When It's Love is incredibly catchy. I'm not going to try to sing it because, honestly, I would completely butcher it. But When It's Love is going to advance to the next round, and Eagles Fly is going to be out. They played both of those songs when I saw him, and to be, once again, I sat down during Eagles Fly. I'm like, there is nothing in this song that's really there for me. When It's Love, I was still standing up, I was clapping, I was singing, and yes, it may be kind of a sappy song, but like I said, it's very, very well written, in my opinion, and just something about it, once again, like these previous Van Halen songs, they make me feel good. I don't quite know what I mean by that. Well, I know exactly what I mean by that, but I'm not quite sure what it is about these songs that make me feel good. They just do. And so When It's Love advances. Now we come to 2 songs that are a little bit more upbeat. We have the 4th seed, Heavy Metal, which is off his solo career, and it was actually released on the soundtrack of an animated film, also entitled Heavy Metal. And I've never actually seen the film. I've seen pieces of it on YouTube, and it really looks more like an acid trip than an actual movie, in my opinion. And I have known about the soundtrack for quite a while. Back when I was a kid and I was browsing the CD store looking for some heavy metal, I also often did, see the heavy metal soundtrack there, and I got to know the artists a little bit, and I never actually bought it because at the time, a lot of those artists weren't really my style, but I did recognize that Sammy Hagar did have a song on here, and it is the title track. Now, there are two versions of heavy metal. There's the version that's off the soundtrack, that is the original version, and then there's the re-recorded version that appeared on the Standing Hampton album in 1981. Well, I am considering that original version off the soundtrack because, well, that's the original version. Pound Cake is off the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge album by Van Halen in 1991. And I think I mentioned this earlier, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. You do the math on that one. But anyways, heavy metal, the original version that I'm considering is a lot more raw and, well, heavy than the version that's off Standing Hampton. When this thing kicks off, it's incredibly aggressive, and I just love the guitar work. It's absolutely incredible. And the songwriting may not be that great, but, the chorus at least is, kind of catchy. It's your one-way ticket to midnight, call it heavy metal. And, one time I was running a race and that song was in my head the entire way. I will never forget it. And that's probably what I associate the song with. But yeah, it's a good song. It's very, very anthemic and I love it. Pound Cake, on the other hand, has a very interesting intro. Once again, this is a Van Halen number, and Eddie's guitar intro, it sounds a lot like a drill. It sounds like a dentist drill of all things. I'm not quite sure how he did that. I doubt I'll ever know, but it's creative, I'll say that. And even though I do like the OU812 album, I'll admit the production on that album was kind of flat. The bass was not very apparent, and it's very unfortunate because Michael Anthony is a very talented bassist. But on the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge album, I really think they fixed the sound, and it sounds a lot heavier, and it sounds a lot more upbeat, not quite as flat, and I love it. The lyrics, on the other hand, leave a lot to be desired. The sexual innuendo here is basically not even an innuendo. It's hitting you right in the face, and they leave subtlety completely non-existent, okay? There is no such thing as subtlety on this song. And while I do enjoy both of them, he did play both of them when I saw him on tour. Heavy Metal is going to be the better song. It is going to defeat Pound Cake. But I'm not dissing Pound Cake or anything. I do enjoy it, and it's definitely a classic, very, very iconic song, but Heavy Metal to me, especially that original version, just completely annihilates it. Now we come to round number 5. We have the number 3 seed, Bad Motor Scooter, versus the number 14 seed, Space Station number 5. And both of these are Montrose songs that were on the very first album that Sammy Hagar ever appeared on, which was the self-titled Montrose album in 73, I want to say. Actually, I'm going to confirm that. It was either 73 or 74. Right now, I'm leaning towards 73. Yep, it was 73. Whew! Glad I got that straight roll. That would have been really, really embarrassing. But anyways, Bad Motor Scooter starts off with a very good guitar lick from, of course, Ronnie Montrose at the very beginning. And believe it or not, it sounds very reminiscent of the intro to Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue. Or I should back up and say, the intro to Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue sounds a lot like Bad Motor Scooter by Montrose. Almost embarrassed myself a second time there. But anyways, Bad Motor Scooter is pretty fast, and it's got a very raw feeling behind it. And by the way, that first Montrose album, it's produced by Ted Templeman, who also produced the first 6 Van Halen records. And it sounds really great. Very nice, slick production, but heavy at the same time, and I love it. But, you know, Bad Motor Scooter is pretty well written, and it's fast. I like that. Space Station number 5, though, is on a completely different level. I love Space Station number 5. It's got a very, very dark atmosphere behind it, or at least building up in the very beginning. But then it starts kicking in. It's got a very groovy rhythm. I did that completely wrong, but too late. But, you know, the chorus doesn't really have much to it, but it's still very, very catchy. Oh, what a time we had living underground. I moved to station number 5, see you next time around. And it's got this very mystical atmosphere about it that I just can't help but love. Space Station number 5 is a much more creative song in my opinion, and it's a lot more well written. I love the rhythm. I love the production. I mean, even the lyrics completely blow Bad Motor Scooter out of the water, and so Space Station number 5 is going to advance. I mean, yeah, that was both of those were very, very legit numbers there, and I really think they're both great songs, but Space Station number 5 is just better. So let's see what we have here in round number 6. We have the number 6 seed, There's Only One Way to Rock, versus the number 11 seed, Red. And both of these songs are from the Sammy Hagar solo career. There's Only One Way to Rock, and by the way, that is There's Only One Way to Rock. Again, the title wouldn't fit in the box, so I did the best I could. That is off the Standing Hampton album, while Red, yeah, it's just called Red, is off the quote-unquote Red album, also called the Sammy Hagar album, released in 1977. And what's quite interesting is these are both considered to be the main anthems on both albums. I think the Sammy Hagar album that Red comes off of is the better album. There's Only One Way to Rock comes off Standing Hampton. I think the sound is better, and for the most part, I think the songwriting is better. But at the same time, There's Only One Way to Rock is an absolute classic. This is one of his most well-known songs of all time. And I very pathetically tried to sing it just a few seconds ago, but you kind of get the gist right there. But they're both really, really fast. And they're both, like I said, incredibly anthemic. And I really just gotta decide, what do I like better? I like the sound of Red better, but I like the rhythm and the writing of There's Only One Way to Rock better. And in this case, this isn't always applicable, but in this case, I think the rhythm and the songwriting is going to outdo the production. There's Only One Way to Rock is going to advance. I can't believe I just made that call, but again, I would much rather listen to There's Only One Way to Rock than Red, but they're both incredibly good. But There's Only One Way to Rock, Van Halen even covered that while Sammy was in the band. It's that good of a song. Now we come to round 7. We have the 7th seed, 3 Lock Box, versus number 10 seed, I'll Fall in Love Again. And these were both released kind of close to each other. 3 Lock Box is off the 1982 album of the same name, and I'll Fall in Love Again is the lead-off track of the Standing Hampton album, released in 1981, the year before. Now, both of these come from a time period when Sammy was really starting to streamline his approach a little bit and was trying to become more mainstream accessible. I'm not quite sure if that was really the best move either, but really good songwriting really made up for it, and I really got to give Sammy that. 3 Lock Box is off the very first Greatest Hits album I ever bought by Sammy, and I've never liked it. The intro is completely ridiculous. It's just Sammy singing this intro. I'm not going to try to sing it because I'm probably going to butcher the lyrics or something, but I've never liked it. The remainder of the song, it's got this very staccato feel to it, and I just don't think it works. I've heard a lot of people say they really, really love this song. I've heard in movies, actually, and that's fine. I mean, I'm glad that it's entered the mainstream and everything, but I've never liked it. Fall in Love Again is a ballad. Well, maybe not. It's kind of a halfway point between a rocker and a ballad. I'll just go ahead and call it a ballad. It is a love song, and I've always liked it. I've always loved it, no pun intended. But, yeah, it's got a very, very nice beat to it. It's not slow. It's kind of mid-pace, I guess you could say. But it's, again, one of those songs that just makes me feel good. And it really helped me through a very, very hard time in my life. But this round is going to go to I'll Fall in Love Again. I did not have to think about that one. Again, the songwriting is strong. Sammy is a great vocalist, and the rhythm is great, and it's just one of those songs, like I said, that just puts me in a really, really good mood. Kind of gives me the vibe of everything's going to be all right, and we're going to be okay, and it's one of my personal favorites by Sammy. Yeah, I know that may be kind of a surprise, considering that may not seem like kind of music I typically go for, but Sammy makes it work. So we have that. So now we have the very last round, round 8. The number 2 seed, Rock Candy, versus number 15 seed, Right Now. And Rock Candy is from when he was in Montrose, while Right Now was from when he was in Van Halen. It was off the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge album. Yeah, once again, you get the pun. But Rock Candy, when I first picked up that album by Montrose, I thought it was going to be a very, very disposable song. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. Mostly because I think it's track 6. Yes, it's track 6. And usually on an 8-track album, spot 6 is usually a song that the record company and the artists don't really have a lot of confidence in. It absolutely kills. It's awesome. And it's got such a sleazy atmosphere to it. I mean, just listen to these lyrics. You're rock candy, baby. You're hard, sweet, and sticky. Oh, wow. Yeah, we got that. Then we have Right Now, which starts off as kind of a piano ballad, but then the band comes in, of course, and it's kind of a slow song. I'm not sure if I'd call it a ballad. I usually don't consider it to be one, but it does have an emotional punch behind it, which I definitely do really, really love. And again, it's a well-written song, and it's a very catchy song. For the longest time, I just completely wrote off the Sammy Hagar era of Van Halen. And really, especially in the past couple of years, I've really come to appreciate a lot more than I did. And Right Now is a great song. It really gets you pumped up, and it really, like I said, has that emotional kick to it. Is it as good as Rock Candy? I don't think so. Rock Candy is going to be the winner of this one, and Right Now is going to be left behind. But that's nothing against Right Now. It's still a great song, and I do recommend it. But now we've pretty much trimmed the fat, and we now have our second bracket right here. So let's go ahead and move on and see what we can do right here. We have, again, the number 1 seed versus the number 8 seed. We have I Can't Drive 55 versus Dreams. And guys, like I said, I think Dreams is a pretty good song. It definitely kind of veers into a genre that I'm usually not a big fan of, and that's a major, major detriment. But I Can't Drive 55 is the kind of song you hear on the radio all the time, and it is incredibly catchy. That chorus, that build-up, it is just incredibly awesome. And I love how basically every line in that build-up rhymes with 5, jive, and 125, and then he finally gets to I Can't Drive 55, and it's such an iconic song. As much as I love Dreams, it doesn't hold a candle to I Can't Drive 55. I Can't Drive 55 is just so catchy, so iconic, and it's more of a rocker instead of a ballad, and that definitely puts it above Dreams. So I Can't Drive 55 goes on. So we now come to the next little matchup right here. We have the number 4 seed, Heavy Metal, versus number 12 seed, When It's Love. And strangely enough, I am going to kind of go back to what I was saying earlier. This is kind of a very, very similar matchup, but maybe not to the same extent, because while I Can't Drive 55 definitely had kind of a more polished feel to the sound and the distortion of the guitar work, Heavy Metal, at least the original version, is incredibly raw and incredibly aggressive. When It's Love is again another ballad, very similar to Dreams, and I like both of them. I really do. When It's Love may not be the best song, but it's so catchy. But Heavy Metal is a rocker, not a ballad. It's somewhat catchy, I'll say that. But the sound and the rhythm, it's going to defeat When It's Love. I know there are some people out there who really, really love When It's Love, and I do too. I enjoy it. Again, it puts me in such a good mood, and that outro, the background harmonies by Eddie and Michael, it's great, but Heavy Metal is the better song. It's the more aggressive song, it's the more raw song, and I just think it's better written and better performed. So Heavy Metal wins, and When It's Love made a gallant effort, but is going to be out. So now we have the number 6 seed, There's Only One Way to Rock, versus number 14 seed, Space Station number 5. And well, this one is going to be a little bit easier, because There's Only One Way to Rock really got by the first round because I enjoyed the rhythm. I love everything about Space Station number 5. I even think the rhythm is better than There's Only One Way to Rock. It's definitely darker and more mystical, I can say. But like I said, it's got such a grooving beat to it. And the guitar work is better. Sammy is on his A game. The entire band is. And unfortunately, There's Only One Way to Rock never really stood a chance against Space Station number 5. Space Station number 5 proceeds. So now we are at the last round, or the last segment of the second bracket, I guess we could say. We have Rock Candy versus I'll Fall in Love Again. And I still really love both of these songs. 2 of my absolute favorites. And I'll Fall in Love Again, I've liked that song ever since high school. I remember there was this one time that I was running in the park with a group of guys, and, you know, I was feeling really good. The run was feeling good. I was moving, and just everything was right, and that song was in my head, and it just made me feel even better. Having said that, Rock Candy is such an aggressive, sleazy beast, and it's definitely going to outdo I'll Fall in Love Again, so Rock Candy is going to proceed, and I'll Fall in Love Again is going to be out, unfortunately. Again, I think I enjoy, actually, I know I do, I enjoy every single song that was competing in this second little, this second little bracket right here, but some are better than others, so they proceeded on while the rest have been eliminated. So now we have I Can't Drive 55 versus Heavy Metal. And both, like I said earlier, are very anthemic. Both of them are classic Sammy Hagar, and they both come from his solo act. I Can't Drive 55 is kind of silly. It's good, but it's kind of silly. Heavy Metal is just a classic. And even though it starts out kind of slow and then it all of a sudden gets very fast in the chorus before slowing down again, some might think that is a little sporadic. I think it works very, very well, and I do like the sound of Heavy Metal better. No, See what I did there? But heavy metal is going to win. I Can't Drive 55 is going to be out. So, you know, it had a good run, but unfortunately, there comes a time for everyone. So now we have Space Station number 5 versus Rock Candy. And both of them are from the same album. Both of them are from the original Montrose album. And guys, it's really just got to come down to my personal preference. It really just has to come down to which one do I think is better written. The sound on both of them is incredible. The instrumentation, the vocals is incredible on both of them. So which one do I like better? That is the question. Space Station number 5. That is the answer. So yeah, as much as I love Rock Candy, and yes, Sammy does still play Rock Candy in concert, I think Space Station number 5 is better. So now, guys, we come to the very final round. The final 4 is over. It all comes down to heavy metal or Space Station number 5. And, well, again, the sound on both of these is very raw and very, very metallic, and I love that. I did mention earlier, even though I love the song heavy metal, even though I love the genre heavy metal, it's still a little sporadic in some places. For a Space Station number 5, I think the segments flow from one to the next a little bit better. I like the atmosphere better. I like the songwriting better. Space Station number 5 by Montrose is the winner. That is the champion, and that is going to conclude the Sammy Hagar Song Tournament. So there we go. Now, I mentioned earlier that I did finally, for the very first time, see Sammy Hagar in concert. And this has been a question among people ever since the year 1986. Who is better, Sammy Hagar or David Lee Roth? Well, I'll say this. I have seen both of them in concert. I saw David Lee Roth with Van Halen in 2012, and I saw David Lee Roth's solo career opening for Styx in 2019. And now I've seen Sammy Hagar solo career in 2024. Both of these guys, when I saw them, were past their prime. I never saw them in their prime, so I can't really say much about that. But which one did I like better? The answer is Sammy. Dave was incredibly frustrating to listen to. Sammy was an actual musician, and I do suggest and I highly recommend seeing the tour that he is on right now. It was really, really good. And actually, if you think about it, it's half of Van Halen because Michael Anthony is playing with him, and that was another very, very welcome addition. So, anyways, that is going to conclude my episode of Song Tournament. I had a great time. I hope you did as well. Next time, we're going to go back to the beginning when the music was good and the music was loud. But until then, have a very pleasant evening.